Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, the big event of the day, of course, was the B word, which I streamed earlier today. So, this is going to be my third stream. But there was a lot said. And some things were quite surprising. I thought there would be more discussion around Bitcoin mining and energy usage, and there was a little bit about that, but there was a lot. Elon said a lot. Cathie said some interesting things. Jack came off very, very professional, but I wish he would have loosened up a little bit. But anyways, there's a whole lot to discuss. That's what tonight's stream is all about. My thoughts on the B word Bitcoin discussion. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, although sometimes I'm late. So that's why you want to hit that notification bell to get notified, and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest articles on CryptosRUs.com. All right. Welcome, guys. Altcoin Daily in the house, among others. All right, let's do this. Let me change my screen. So Bitcoin is still holding about 32,000. Obviously, much better than last night when it dipped below 29. How far did it go? 29.4, somewhere around there, right? Just kind of like bottomed out. Like, I don't know. This is like a whale attack right here to scare people the day before the B word, or I don't know. There was just some kind of FUD attack, whale attack, whatever you want to call it, that happened last night. The fear and greed index went down as low as 10. And I said every time it hits 10, it seems like it's a pretty good buying opportunity, because when there's extreme fear, there's just nonstop FUD. That's usually a contrarian way to trade, which means that you should buy. And some of you guys did, right? And things are looking better today, but to put things in perspective, of course, we're still not above 41,000. That's really where we want to go to. We have a little bit to go. Right, let me zoom out a little bit. Little bit to go before hitting 36,000, and then after that 41,000. Then we'll be on our way. And maybe after Bitcoin breaks above 41,000, I could stop calling Elon and call him by his real name. But until then, I'll stick with Elon, which really irritates my best friend, since he is really into, he's a big Elon fan and Tesla fan. Oh, 1 second. All right, just had to kick out my dog there. All right. So let's do this. So the B word. I actually have a nifty article written by one of my authors on CryptosRUs.com. Again, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, you should do so. I've been tweeting these articles, but not every single one, just a few. There's a lot more articles on here in case you guys have not checked it out. Altcoins, various altcoins, a ton of altcoins, a ton of news, all the breaking news, even feature articles, how to use guides, like if you're confused about how to use Uniswap, how to stake Cardano, how to use KuCoin, how to earn passive income, right? Everything you want to know is on CryptosRUs.com, so make sure you make this your daily destination. All right, so going back to the B word, it was about an hour long, and I gotta say I wasn't too pleased with the host. The host, I felt like he asked too. I'm sure they prepared ahead of time, but the flow, the questions probably could have been better. He even led Elon to talk about Doge, which has nothing to do with the Bitcoin, the B word discussion. But anyways, maybe he felt inclined to ask. So there's a few takeaways. So I'll talk about these first, and then there's other ones I want to talk about. First of all, Elon wanted to clarify that he is not a pump and dumper. He's just a pumper. And Elon was he was having some fun, and I think it's okay. He wasn't trolling, just having his usual fun. He did say that he loves to pump, but he never dumps. And after he said that, he clarified, saying a few interesting things, that Tesla still owns all of its Bitcoins that they bought. So that is good. A lot of fudders spreading news about how Tesla already sold all their Bitcoins. No. He also clarified that he himself owns Bitcoin and, out of the blue, Ethereum and, of course, Doge. Well, out of the three, he owns a substantially more of Bitcoin than the other two. So there you go. And I don't think, Elon just owns like one Bitcoin. So he probably owns like hundreds or thousands of Bitcoins himself. Now, that's interesting. So he is an Ethereum holder as well. So he recognizes that DeFi is definitely here to stay, which is why he's into Ethereum. Okay. The other thing out of left field is he just said that SpaceX owns Bitcoin. SpaceX. I don't even know how that works. SpaceX, I think they're trying to go public. They're still private. They get a lot of private funding. So I don't even know how they have funds to put into Bitcoin. That's really, really interesting. But SpaceX also owns Bitcoin, and we don't know how much. Could be billions too. But looking at Bitcoin Treasury, we know that MicroStrategy, I like to call it Michael's strategy, but it's MicroStrategy, of course, dominates the chart in terms of public trade companies, only 105,000 Bitcoins. Tesla is number 2 at about 43,000. Who knows how much SpaceX has? So now people are going to dig. Maybe they have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin too, right? So that is totally new information that we had no idea of. And again, I don't know where the fundings came from. And another thing that's really, really interesting, and it goes along with this is, you know how sometimes I talk about banks and interest. Basically, if you store your money in a bank account, a savings account, you're not getting anything. Even if you get like 1% interest, and this is the example Elon made, even if you're promised 1%, APY, but inflation is 2%, and we know inflation is not 2%. Right now it's at 5% and it's increasing. So really, you're at a negative 4%. So even though the dollar amount stays the same, the next year, you're going to be able to buy things. You could buy 96% of the things you could have bought the year before. But what's even worse is Elon says in Europe, all the bank accounts that exist in Europe that's holding Tesla cash, they're actually negative interest rates. So in real time, every day, if he logs in and looks at those numbers, it drops because of the negative rates that they have right now. That's how bad things are. I mean, this is Europe. This is not a developing or emerging continent or countries, right? So he made note that he should just put all that money into Bitcoin because it's better than watching it just drop daily, right? So that's also very, very interesting, coming straight from Elon's mouth. So yeah, that's also very, very interesting. So right off the bat, he said those things. And I forget which question he was asked. He said those things voluntarily. It wasn't even something that he was asked. He just said it because I felt like he felt compelled to clarify or clear the air because so many Bitcoiners hate him for what he has done, on Twitter and all the trolling and stuff. And you could tell that he really tries to make light of everything. Like he's trying to joke around, josh around a lot. He was doing a lot of laughing when Cathie and Jack was just like dead face, serious face. Like he was just really a different character. But anyways, so those things came out right off the bat. Okay, there was an interesting moment when he actually pressed Jack because Jack was all business, and he wanted to kind of, I don't know, not burn him, but he wanted to test him basically because Jack talked about his new project, his Blue Sky, which is a decentralized social media, which he hyped up for quite some time, decentralized Twitter. Jack also talked a lot about, like, a lot of things that Michael Saylor have said, how Bitcoin, he would love to see Bitcoin as the internet currency, something that gives people financial freedom around the world. A lot of stuff that you hear Michael Saylor talk about. And then he talks about, how he wants to see less corporations, more decentralization, right? And this is what a lot of people have against Jack, because even though he says those things, he's not really showing them, especially with the two companies he runs. So Elon all of a sudden interrupts him and asks him, hey, Jack, why don't you accept Bitcoin payments for advertising, right? Twitter has a lot of advertisers, so why not force them to pay with Bitcoin? And this caught Jack, this really caught him off guard. He did not know how to answer this. So he eloquently danced around it, saying, well, had I started Twitter, had I gotten to Bitcoin when I started Twitter, then I would not needed to have advertisements at all. And he danced around how, yes, I would love to offer options for advertisers, but he did not commit. And Elon was asking him to commit on air, and he just danced around it. He did not want to answer. So that was also very, very interesting. Now, what about Cathie? Did she say anything interesting? There was one part that I thought she mentioned really, really nicely, and this was when they were talking about mining, and Elon recognized that, Bitcoin mining may be above or at or 50% above renewable energy already. So this was like the only part within the stream where they talked about this. And Elon, to quote him, it looks like Bitcoin is shifting a lot towards renewables and a bunch of heavy-duty coal plants that were, they were being used and shut down. I want to do a little more diligence, and then, but basically he's thinking that it's close or there. So if so, Tesla will resume accepting Bitcoin. And then he clarifies later on, saying that he most likely will open up Bitcoin payments for Tesla cars again. This is where Cathie interjected and asked him if he saw the reports that she and Square worked on and so forth. But what she leads into is this ESG initiative. And she clarifies that ESG means environmental, social, and governance. But what's interesting is, and this is something that I've learned, I don't know if you guys know this already, when she mentions about social, there's a lot of things that Bitcoin brings to the table. For example, just allowing freedom for people to be able to send money worldwide. That is part of the social responsibility. A lot of it is social responsibility. And if you can help people create freedom, make it easier for people to get financial freedom and financial products and be able to send money worldwide without having a middleman or anyone telling them they can't, that's part of the social aspect. And I thought that was brilliant to look at it that way, right? Because I think everyone looks at ESG and only focuses on environmental, but not the social and governance part. So Cathie said some interesting things about social that was very, very pro Bitcoin as well. So overall, Cathie, she did a really good job. I think she did a really good job. Sometimes, I think sometimes she spent too much time to clarify her point, but she did a really good job about ESG, about mining, right? And I think Jack did a good job just basically explaining, like, if Jack wasn't here, Mike, if you replace Jack with like basically Michael Saylor, it would have been like the same talk basically, except maybe not as extreme, because we know Michael Saylor likes his like hyperboles and analogies and stuff like that. Jack didn't have those things, but he basically said the same thing. He sees Bitcoin as as a source of truth, personal property, something that can be distributed across the world and bring financial freedom to so many. And that reminds me, he brings up a example about some country. I think he was in Ethiopia or something, and it was like a taxi service or something, and they still have to deal with fiat. They have to deal with having paper bills because there's just nothing better. And there's so many countries and so much people around the world that still cannot get any kind of electronic payment system. And that's where Bitcoin and wallets and advancements in wallets and dApps can help with that, right? So he also brings a lot of that up. I mean, overall, I saw the comments. I've read the live chat as much as I can during the stream. Overall, I think this is very positive. I think this is a very positive thing. I know a lot of people like to troll and say, hey, I hate Jack, I hate Elon, I hate this, I hate that, it was boring and this and that. But this was actually, to me, one of the more educational conferences. And it seems like a lot of important stuff was discussed. Maybe some of the things we have heard since we're in this space for so long, and we especially me, I reported these things 100 times. But I think for newcomers in the space that have a lot of questions, I think this was a really good stream to answer a lot of it. Now, what's the final, I guess, the end result from this? Well, I know for sure, based on this, Elon is going to go talk with the Tesla people and probably the board. He's probably talking to the board, right now or tonight. It sounds for sure that he is going to be opening up and accepting Bitcoin in the future. It sounds like that is right there. And also, it does seem like, I don't think it's by accident that he reported that SpaceX owns Bitcoins. That did not just blurb out by accident. I think there's a reason why he said that. So there's more things that's going on, I think. He also mentioned about Starlink. I mean, Elon took the opportunity to really show a lot of his companies with solar and Starlink, especially Starlink. And he mentions about, hey, putting a Bitcoin node on each one of the satellites or creating space heaters that can also mine. And I think that's brilliant, because any of you guys that have mined Ethereum or using GPUs, it generates so much heat. It's just like your own portable space heater. If I had a mining rig behind me right now and it was running, this room would be at 120 degrees. It would be. It would be insanely hot, right? So they are basically portable heaters. And if you could create a commercialized box where you can mine ETH or whatever, Bitcoin, and rather than just waste that energy in terms of heat, but you could also make something while you're heating up your room, that would be brilliant. That could be something that he's also working on, because, of course, Elon comes out with a lot of weird stuff like his flamethrower and stuff like that. So maybe that's down the road. But overall, you know what? I liked it. I thought this was a very productive discussion. There was no heated debate or anything like that. Of course, if it was more heated, it would be more interesting or entertaining. But overall, I think this was good. This was good. So for those of you guys, that's just based on my overall summary. In case you guys want to watch it, then watch the video that I posted earlier today, where I streamed not too long ago, and you can watch the full hour. I highly recommend it if you did not watch it. All right. So there's that. What else is there? I think the only other thing I want to talk about is this. And the SEC chairman, we know that Gary Gensler, who taught courses at MIT. So a lot of people think he's pro-Bitcoin. Yes, even though he's I should take that back, pro-blockchain. Even though, yes, he's pro-blockchain, does not mean that he's just going to turn a blind eye to what's going on in crypto. So he clarified, make no mistake, it does not matter whether it's a stock token, a stable value token backed by security, or any other virtual product that provide synthetic exposure to underlying securities. These platforms, whether in decentralized or centralized finance space, are implicated by security laws and must work within our security regime. Meaning, projects that think that they're not a security, that they're some kind of store to value or a stable coin or a DeFi play or a DEX, right? They all fall in within the jurisdiction of SEC, and they must abide by securities law. So he's basically giving a heads up that all these other crypto companies that think they can have free reign to do whatever, they really don't. Just because you didn't conduct a security sale doesn't mean that you could do whatever you want. So this is kind of like a pre-warning, because this is what he's going to be working towards. So just throwing that out there. Outside of that, that's really it. Bitcoin is still, holding its rally pretty well. I'm really curious if you look at Bitcoin treasuries, within a very short amount of time, you add in all the ETFs, which include Grayscale. You add in the countries, which doesn't include El Salvador yet. You add in the public trade companies, and you add private companies. Within a very short amount of time, just these entities already hold 7% of the total supply. That's total supply, not even circulating supply, because this percentage is calculating out of 21 million Bitcoins. And right now, only about 19.5 have been mined. So actually, this percentage is even higher. And this doesn't take into account how many millions of Bitcoin that has already been lost. It's estimated 4, 5, 6 million of Bitcoin is lost. So then if you actually calculate the true percentage, this is above like 10%. Within a very short amount of time, these guys have purchased enormous amount of Bitcoin, which is why I feel so confident about Bitcoin, right? Going forward, that it will resume its upward trajectory. Maybe we have to wait a few more months because we're still kind of stuck in this rut. But there's a reason why Bitcoin is 10 times higher now than last year, and why 2021 and 2022 can be different than previous tops, can possibly keep going, okay? Because these big boys are not planning on selling anytime soon. They're holding, and they're holding for a future because they're afraid of inflation, or they don't want negative rates on their cash. They're afraid, they're trying to preserve their buying power, among other reasons, right? And we know that there's other entities that's not even in here. Like, for example, Elon mentioned Starlink. Starlink is not in here. Who knows how much BlackRock has accumulated over all this FUD, right? Same thing with the banks. Who knows how much JP Morgan have accumulated for their fund, right? There's so much more that is not even reported here. I have no doubt that this number, if you take in total, is a lot higher than what this is showing, okay? And I've already shown you guys statistics about how much is being held out of the circulating supply by holders. Over 75%. Estimated about 77% of the circulating supply is held by holders that are just holding. They're not selling. So worrying about day-to-day, week-to-week volatility is really silly. And if you're doing that, then you're setting yourself up for failure, right? You're not going to achieve that life-changing wealth. But if you continue to believe, you continue to focus on the future and realize what's really going on behind the scene, which is like a race to accumulate as much Bitcoins as possible. If you realize that's going on behind the scenes, then you're setting yourself up for that life-changing wealth. All right, that's pretty much it. Oh, by the way, today is DCA day. I promised I was going to do so tonight. This morning I mentioned it. So right now, this portfolio I created about 4 weeks ago is down about $251. Overall, not too bad considering how the market has come down recently, right? So today I'm going to put another $100. Last week I put $100. The week before I put $100. So this morning I didn't know which one to put in. But you could see the breakup. This is pretty cool on Live Coin Watch. Portfolio is absolutely free. About 50% in Bitcoin, and then 25% in big caps, and then 25% in everything else. So you could see the breakup here. So going down, starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, VeChain, Binance Coin, Chainlink, Solana, Matic, Theta, One, Doge, Cosmos, Decentraland, Mana, and BPro. So the last few weeks I have not been adding. I've been not adding to what I have. I've been added a few projects. But this week I want to do something different because I do think I've been hyping up Ethereum so much recently. Oh, by the way, I want to clarify. You know the autograph. What is it? Autograph.io. I think it's Autograph, right? This NFT project by Tom Brady. I did verify this is running on top of Polygon. Okay, so those of you guys that was expecting this to run on Theta, unfortunately it's not. Because you can log in right now and you can claim your username as a NFT. They will mint it for you for free. And they do so, after you do so, it'll say it's on the Polygon network. So this is running on Polygon, just to clarify. Now, maybe later on, they will try to move to Theta, or they might move to FTX's chain. But this right now is on Polygon. And if they do stay on Polygon, this is a huge thing. Because Tom Brady, with his celebrity power, and look at everyone that he's already pulled in. So this is what I was talking about. This is why Polygon could stand on its own. People always ask me, hey, Ethereum, once it goes to Ethereum 2.0 with optimism, layer 2s, can Polygon stand on its own? Yes, because they have their own dApps running on top of it. If Tom Brady gets this autograph to be a huge NFT marketplace that draws in millions of users, and this is running on top of Polygon, this is one of the reasons why Polygon can't exist without Ethereum 2.0, right? So just to let you guys know. But because of this, it makes me more bullish on Polygon. So I'm going to add my Polygon right now for the week is down 7%, which isn't bad. But what's really impressive is look at for the week, Ethereum is only down 1%, 1.35%, while outperforming even Bitcoin. Bitcoin for the week hasn't been down that much, about 3%. So Cardano and VeChain took a big dip. A lot of these took big dips. Solana took a big dip. Theta and Harmony took big dips, right? So actually, it would be a good time to buy them too. So you know what? I'm going to spread it out. I'm going to spread it out 3 ways because I like all these projects. I'm going to put $33, okay? Because I'm only going to put $100. I'm going to put $33 into Matic, Theta, and One. I think I'm going to distribute it out. I think that's a good plan of attack. All right, so I'm not going to do that with you right now because it's going to take too much time. But just know that this week I'm going to add to Matic, Theta, and One. I'll have it ready, and I'll start showing you guys tomorrow. All right, so that's what I'm going to do in case you guys are curious. But overall, I'm going to do this until the end of the year and see where we end up. All right, guys, let's do some quick Q&A. Tesla XYZ suggests that I need to add some TSLA into a crypto-only portfolio. And by the way, he is the friend that can't stand that I call Elon. All right. Scrolling up, did I miss anything? Did I miss anything important? Someone asked me about BlockFi. A lot of people seem to be asking this because BlockFi got a cease and desist letter in the state of New Jersey basically saying that BlockFi is selling securities, which doesn't make any sense. BlockFi is not selling any securities. And this is from an attorney general that just started. Seems like there's some kind of agenda going on. But anyways, according to BlockFi, they're working with them. Existing customers do not have to worry. They're still okay. This is for new customers. So they have one more week to comply before they shut off for new customers. So I don't know where this is coming from. I mean, obviously, BlockFi is a lending company. They're not an exchange. They're not like Coinbase or anything like that. So they're still working it out. You know, the lawyers are working out with New Jersey. That's really that's all the information I have. So, scrolling down, Jamie says now I have 20 miners and growing. BTC kept me warm. Oh wow, 20 Ethereum miners. Because I remember at home. I mean, this was back in 2013 when I first got into crypto. I was mining Litecoin back then. Yeah, I had about like 12 rigs, and no, I probably had more. I think at one point I had 120 GPUs running. So, and I had about 5 or 6 with each. So yeah, I probably had around 20. In my basement, this was dead winter when it was negative 20 degrees out. I was pumping in cold air from the outside using those huge fans that you use to dry your basement, like those enormous fans. I was using that to pump air into my basement, and it was still 96 degrees, and my whole house was so hot because of it. So this space heater idea, I think, is a really good one. I mean, if you could pull it off, but you're probably not gonna make a lot of money with it, but it'll pay for the cost of electricity. I think it should easily pay for the cost of electricity. All right. No, I'm not adding Shiba. I bought Cake at his peak after you bought it. Would you recommend still holding? Yes. Yeah, it's the fundamental of Cake and any of the project I covered just a few weeks or a few months ago did not change. Just because the price went down does not mean anything really happened. The whole market went down. PancakeSwap is still the biggest AMM, in terms of volume, still the biggest AMM on Binance Smart Chain. So nothing has happened that makes me think otherwise, change my mind. BlockFi 7.5 USDC, no longer 8.5, but it is 8.5 with DAI. So there you go. I think that's going to change, but it is still 8.5 with DAI as far as last time I checked. Elaborate why the C8 over Emira. The C8 is a bargain. If you get a C8, which you really can't, but if you can get a C8 for like 60, 70,000, the MSRP, nothing touches it in terms of performance. But unfortunately, things are so hot right now. New cars like is so scarce because of chip shortage. All these cars have gone up tremendously in resale value. So used C8s now cost more than new. Cryptocurrency.tv supports your video and channel. Well, thank you. I haven't heard of your channel, but I'm glad to hear it. All right, scrolling down. I'm trying to get my friends and family interested in crypto. Is there any way to send tokens as gift if they don't have Binance, Voyager, or account? Well, they need something to accept it. You could send them a gift, but they need something to accept it. You have to get them to open something. Gemini, Coinbase, Voyager, Binance.us. You gotta get them to open something. Unfortunately, they can't open up, say, Webull or Robinhood because they don't allow deposits. But you gotta get them something. All right, scrolling down. Any hope for Wabi? Well, they really got hit hard because most of their business was in Asia. So there were, a rewards token, but also in the supply chain space, but primarily in China and Japan, and they were really hit hard. They're still operating. I hope they could come back, but I haven't heard much progress within the last few months or years, I should say. Are you going to take profits on the way up with a demo portfolio? Yes. Later on this year, I will. Right now, obviously, there's no profits to be taken. But when things heat up again, once Bitcoin goes above 60,000 again, I will start implementing profit taking. Do you own a sandbox? Last land sale tomorrow. Not in my sample portfolio. Personally, I hold a small amount. Yes, I do. I have not gotten into NFTs, or lands or anything like that. It's just not for me. But I know a lot of people have told me that they have made tremendous amount of money from NFTs. So that is also another way you can make money by buying and holding NFTs, especially with gaming items, virtual items. You can make a lot. It's just not for me. Apple earnings report next week could take us to the next phase of bull run. If that rumor $2.5 billion purchase comes true, then yeah. I mean, Apple, I think they're going to announce something. They were hiring someone. I know they're going to do something with the Apple Pay wallet. Maybe not this soon, but it will come. I mean, if they want to be a serious competitor to, say, PayPal or Cash App, they're going to have to integrate crypto payments or wallets. It's coming. So who knows? Maybe they also did, and they will announce that they bought Bitcoin. That would be a huge, huge catalyst to drive things higher. All right, scrolling down. Last few questions. Elon talked a lot about layer 2's thoughts. Yeah, Bitcoin maxis like to talk about layer 2's. We know that Lightning Network exists, right? But they did bring up this fundamental thing about layer 2's is because it becomes more centralized. It's less decentralized. So you're sacrificing some security, decentralization for centralization for speed, right? So that is a trade-off of Lightning Network. Although it is decentralized, it's not as decentralized as Bitcoin's network itself. So I think layer 2's are interesting. If you want Bitcoin to become a payment method, then yes, you need a layer 2 like Lightning. But if you just want Bitcoin to be a store of value, which there's nothing wrong just being just a store of value, then just stay store of value, right? And you can still use it to pay for things. It's just you're not going to use it day to day. Like really, no one is paying for coffee with Bitcoin. It doesn't exist right now. But I guess if emerging countries like El Salvador, they're trying to make a legal tender, then you need something. Well, that's where the Strike app is going to come in and help facilitate. You can send straight to a ledger, Edmond says. Yes. Are you surprised they didn't have too short? I don't get it. I don't know who too short is, if that's a person. Can you explain with everything USD in on the sidelines if it was BTC, so what is the real value of BTC? I don't get it. Can you explain with everything in USD on the sidelines if it wasn't BTC, so what is the value of real BTC? I don't get your question, Dustin. I don't get your question. Are you saying because everything is valued against the USD? Is that why? I mean, if that's what you're asking, or are you asking because there's so much USD sitting on the sidelines that's not entered the market? I don't know what you're asking, to be honest. All right, last few questions. Check out this NFT project. Yeah, no, I'm not going to check that out. Not today. All right. That is it. Overall, I thought a B word was as good as it could have been. No drama, a lot of facts thrown out, some good discussion. So overall, I think this is a positive event, and it does show you that Elon is still committed and serious about Bitcoin. In a way, he kind of even hinted this, that by doing what he did, kind of forced the industry to change. Okay, whether or not that's true, I don't know. China kicked out a lot of miners, and those miners are forced to change, not because of Elon, because they're forced out of China. So Elon was trying to take credit for that. Maybe in some ways it did help. Obviously, with Michael Saylor and the Bitcoin mining console, and with the North American miners, yes, I think that helped tremendously. But for everyone else that came out of China, I don't think they were they were incentivized because of Elon's, declaration or threat or anything. But overall, I think it was still very positive. So if you guys didn't watch it, make sure you do so. And let's see what happens with Bitcoin for the rest of this week. All right. So there you have it. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Have a good one, guys.